Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you're ready for Chapter 5. Chapter 4 was a little briefer, and it gave us a real nice opportunity to do some self-reflection. And I hope you enjoyed that intellectual autobiography. I just think it's such a cool, psychology is my foundation, though. So I just really think it's a great idea for us to really be able to take an inventory of ourselves as we move forward and we expand ourselves. I think that's an awesome opportunity. So I hope you enjoyed it. Chapter 5, not so brief. So, in fact, I think it's the longest chapter of your readings. But the good news is it is loaded with charts and graphs and things like that that take up 2 and 3 pages at a time. So don't let the size of the chapter intimidate you, because you're going to see it's just got a lot of charts and really great tools and resources for you to use. I do want to take a moment and highlight some of the chapter concepts that I think are really important to make sure that you have a clear understanding of those. And of course, at any time you still have struggles, we have the class PowerPoint. I have additional resources in the class, and you can always reach out to me. I'm happy to help. So a couple of things to keep in mind is some definitions. We're looking at academic disciplines in this book. So in this chapter. So in this chapter, we're going to be highlighting the parts where we're going to take it apart. So now we're going to actually look at each discipline. And we're not going to look at all the disciplines. There's thousands of disciplines. But we're going to look at how do we define what a discipline is? And how do we say, when we say we're taking it from different lenses, we're looking at it from different disciplines. What's a discipline? If it's interdisciplinary, we're taking several different disciplines. What's a discipline? Well, this week, that's what we're really going to focus on, defining what a discipline really is. And you're going to be able to do that in the discussion threads as well. The book defines a discipline as an identifiable but evolving domain of knowledge that its members study using certain tools that serve a way of knowing that is powerful but constraining. It's kind of a hard definition. It really is. So a discipline is an area of study that's unique, and it has its own unique qualities. It's going to have its own books, its own resources, its own conferences, its own ideas, its own methods, its own ways that it does study, its own attitudes and ways or views that we look at the situation. So that's what we're going to be studying, is these different disciplines. How is psychology different than sociology? I happen to be a sociology major and then a psychology major. So I've come from 2 different disciplines. And frequently I do look at problems using both of those scopes. To me, they're kind of like salt and pepper. And between them, they make a good flavor. So many times what we're going to need to do is look at something from a different discipline. How would it see this from a political science perspective? How would this be viewed from an economic perspective? So that's what we're going to be looking at. How many different disciplines are out there? And there's tons. And better yet, they're still evolving. If someone views this in 10 years from now, there may be disciplines that we don't have today that you're going to have tomorrow, because technology is ever evolving, times are ever evolving, jobs don't look the same. We do, in psychology, we study things like media and media's influence. We didn't do that in 1950. Not to the degree we did today. We didn't have Twitter, and we didn't have CNN, and we didn't have Facebook. So it looked different. So we had to evolve those disciplines just like the times evolved. So that's something we want to be really thoughtful of. Each discipline is bound together by shared norms, values, and beliefs. And they usually have their own professional associations, scholarly journals, and annual conferences. Sometimes they're referred to as academic tribes. That might be a way to kind of visualize it and think about it. And this is a way that we separate one scholarly group from another scholarly group. So they're all doing important stuff. They're just doing it from different perspectives, looking through different lenses. Disciplines are interested in spreading their knowledge from one generation to the next, and they do this by publishing peer-reviewed materials, developing course majors, both for undergrad and graduates, so that people can continue to study in their areas. Discipline departments are organized into bigger disciplines. So when we talk about a discipline, several things may fall into that discipline. Such a discipline might be something like natural sciences or social sciences or humanities. So social sciences could include anthropology, sociology, psychology. So there may be several different smaller divisions within a discipline. On page 122 of your textbooks, which is table 1.5.1, sorry, you'll see these broken down into some charts. I would encourage you to take some time and look at that. I do think it's helpful. To be an effective interdisciplinarian, there's 4 areas that you really do need to focus and make sure you know. And one of those we've already highlighted, and that's to know yourself. Recognize the influences, culture, politics, religion, your background, situations, experiences, events that affect your views. The second is in the view of others. You need to be able to identify and examine the perspectives of other people, groups, or organizations, and influences that they have that may be motivating them to see things from a certain perspective. The third is to view cultures and to explain the different ways that knowledge, technology, and resources affect a culture. And the fourth is for the view of the discipline, and that's understanding the communities of expertise and understand the situations, events, and phenomena that affect them. So if I was taught in a certain discipline, I'm going to think in a certain way. And it's very reflective in what I do. I've been practicing and working in the fields of psychology and sociology for over 25 years. I can't take that away. It taints how I see the world. In interdisciplinary studies, you have to take on a temporary perspective, but of a different discipline, and treat them just as viewpoints. So my ideas are just a viewpoint. Somebody else's ideas are just a viewpoint. Nobody's right or wrong, but our answers are incomplete until we're able to take all those perspectives and look deeper at the situation. And we just temporarily set those beliefs aside and our opinions and our attitudes, and then we can come back to those because those are what we own. What we'll find as we continue to study and to continue to learn is that our attitudes, beliefs, and perspectives will grow and will be bigger and broader than we ever were. And that's pretty exciting too. A disciplined perspective is like a lens that we look through when observing a situation. And a discipline's perspective is the primary means of distinguishing one discipline from another. So that's really important. I also want to encourage you to look at table 5.3, and that lists out many different disciplines for you to kind of see and zone in on those. These 2 tables that I'm referring to are going to be very helpful in doing this week's discussion board as well. So I encourage you to look at those. And I'm going to wrap up with a couple of terms. There was a lot of terms in there, but there's a couple I really want to highlight and make sure that you understand those. One of them is phenomenon, and a phenomenon is a subject subject's objects or behaviors that a discipline considers fall within the reach of its domains. And these are also listed on page 134 through 136 and table 5.4. So these are the things that a discipline kind of owns. We take ownership for these things. These fall under us. So when I look at this, the study of this or how people behave, that falls under this domain or under this phenomenon. A theory is a generalized scholarly explanation of some aspect of the natural or human world. Theories are going to show up in IDS 4190 for those of you that are moving on to the bachelor's program. And we're going to be spending some more time looking at those there. And you may have seen them in some other studies, but a theory is just that, a generalized scholarly explanation of something. Can't prove it, but we're pretty sure this is what it is, and this is why we're going to say that that is what it is. And the last term I wanted to review is methods. And that's a particular procedures or process or techniques used by a discipline or its practitioners to conduct, organize, or to present research. So within a discipline, you will find that people have a certain style of writing or a certain technique or a certain form or a certain type of study that they do. And they're different from discipline to discipline. So you might be working in MLA and you might be writing briefs if you're a legal student, and you might be working in APA and you might be writing treatment plans or treatment reviews if you're a psychology student. So there's going to be different unique aspects of each of our disciplines that reflect who we are. A lot of material in chapter 5. But all really good stuff and some really helpful charts. Again, please use those, please review those, and they will be very helpful to you in the discussion boards. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. See you next chapter.